Hello and welcome to what I think might be the most necessary, certainly the most caffeinated, and definitely the most adrenaline-fueled edition of the deep dive we have ever recorded.
I think that's fair to say. I'm running on fumes and pure excitement right now. Sleep was not really an option, was it?
Not at all. If you are listening to this, it is Saturday morning, the 31st of January, 2026. And if you're a tennis fan, specifically this one living here in the UK or across Europe, you probably look a bit like a panda right now.
Oh, the panda eyes are real. I think if you even tried to go to sleep during what we just witnessed, your body would have physically rejected the attempt. It's been absolute madness.
Utter madness. We are coming to you in the immediate, pretty breathless aftermath of one of the most extraordinary days in the history of the sport. We're talking about the Australian Open men's semifinals.
We're talking about nearly 10 hours of tennis?
Yeah.
10 hours, played back-to-back on the blue courts of Rod Laver Arena.
And it wasn't just tennis in the, hitting a ball back and forth sense. This was operatic drama.
It was everything, wasn't it? We had tragedy, we had farce, we had miracles, we had science, history, all of it wrapped up in 2 5-set matches.
It is, quite frankly, absurd. So our mission today is to try and make some sense of it all. We are going to unpack exactly how we arrived at this historic final set for Sunday between the ultimate immovable object of the old guard, Novak Djokovic, and the, well, usually unstoppable young phenomenon, Carlos Alcaraz.
It's the dream final, let's be honest. It's the one that tournament organizers would have sold their souls for.
Absolutely.
But the path to get there, it wasn't a path, it was a minefield. It was carnage.
Carnage is exactly the right word. And just so you, the listener, know where we're getting our information from today, because there is a lot of noise out there, we've done a proper sweep.
We have, yes.
We've got the BBC Sport match reports for the cold, hard facts, the play-by-play, the stats.
Then we've got the full transcripts from the on-court interviews and the post-match press conferences. That's from TNT Sports, so we can get right inside the players' heads.
And crucially, and this is my favorite part, because we know that tennis is as much about the culture as it is about the forehands, we have trawled through thousands of comments on the Reddit Tarnas Match threads.
Which is where the real pulse of the sport is, let's be honest.
It really is.
It is. It's where you find the raw emotion, the biological debates, the memes, and the sheer unfiltered panic of the entire fan base. We are going to be diving into all of that.
We have so much to get through. We're going to talk about the biomechanics of cramping. We're going to have a very serious scientific discussion about pickle juice.
Yes, really.
Yes, really. And we're going to talk about the psychology of the choke. But we have to start with the first match. The day session, the marathon, Carlos Alcaraz versus Alexander Zverev.
The match that simply refused to end.
Let's just establish the sheer scope of this before we even dive into the details. The match duration was 5 hours and 27 minutes.
Just stop and think about that for a second. 5 hours, 27 minutes, that's a flight from London to New York, give or take.
It's the entire Lord of the Rings extended edition trilogy. Well, maybe the first 2 films anyway. It's just a physical ordeal that is so hard to comprehend unless you've actually stood on a court for that long.
And you just know they're going to be feeling that for days.
Oh, for weeks. And the scoreline reflects that roller coaster. Alcaraz wins 6-4, 7-6, then loses 6-7, 6-7, before finally winning 7-5 in the 5th.
It's the kind of scoreline you look at and just think, how on earth are both of these men still standing?
And the context here is everything, isn't it? Alcaraz isn't just playing for a spot in the final. He is chasing the career Grand Slam.
That's right. He's won the U.S. Open. He's won Wimbledon, Roland Garros. He just needs Australia.
If he wins on Sunday, he becomes the youngest man in history to win all 4 majors. He's 22 years old.
The pressure on that young man's shoulders is just immense.
It's unbelievable. And yet, for the first 2 sets, he looked like he was having a hit in the park. The BBC Sport report described it as routine. He was 2 sets up. He was just cruising.
He was playing what I call Alcaraz 1.0 tennis. Just heavy, aggressive, moving beautifully. Zverev, on the other hand, looked lost. He looked like he was already thinking about his flight home.
He really did. And then, the plot twist. We need to really properly break down what happened at 4-4 in the 3rd set.
Yeah.
Because this is the exact moment the match went from a sporting event to a full-blown medical drama.
This was the turning point, the hinge of the whole match. Alcaraz is serving, he goes to push off for a shot, and suddenly he just pulls up. He stops dead.
You see the grimace on his face straight away.
A huge grimace. He clutches his right leg. And everyone watching, the whole stadium, the commentary box, us at home, we all thought, okay, maybe he slipped.
Or a bit of cramp? Nothing major?
But he couldn't walk properly. He was hobbling.
No. And this is where the biomechanics of it all get really interesting. In the press conference afterwards, Alcaraz explained he felt a really sharp issue in his right adductor.
Now, for those who aren't anatomy nerds, the adductor muscles are on the inner thigh, and for tennis, they are absolutely critical.
Why, specifically for tennis? What makes them so important?
Well, because tennis is a sport of explosive lateral movement. You are constantly violently pushing side to side. The adductors stabilize your pelvis and help pull your leg inward. If your adductor goes, you lose your ability to push off.
So all that explosive side-to-side movement is just gone.
It's gone, and just as importantly, you lose stability on your serve landing, so suddenly your biggest weapon, the serve, is compromised.
So effectively, his entire movement, which is his biggest weapon, was compromised in an instant.
Exactly. And he said in the presser, the worst part was the stress of not knowing. Was it a tear, a strain, a cramp? He said the panic of not knowing if he was snapping a tendon just compounded everything, so he has to call the physio.
And meanwhile, on the other side of the net, Alexander Zverev is watching all of this unfold. And judging by the footage, and certainly the Reddit threads, he was not feeling particularly sympathetic.
No, he was absolutely irate. You could see him pacing up and down his baseline. He was complaining to the umpire.
What was he complaining about?
Zverev felt that the medical timeout, the MTO, was strategic. This is a really common accusation in tennis, the so-called tactical MTO.
The idea being you're losing momentum, so you stop the match for 3 minutes, get a bit of a massage, and essentially try and ice your opponent.
You freeze them out. Zverev was thinking, I'm finally getting into this match, I'm starting to feel it, and now he's stalling to break my rhythm. It just created this incredibly hostile, tense atmosphere on the court.
So Zverev thought Alcaraz was faking it, or at least exaggerating.
I think exaggerating is probably the word. But looking at Alcaraz, I mean, come on, looking at the footage, he was a shadow of his former self. You can't fake that limp.
No, you can't.
You can't fake that kind of restriction against a top 5 player in the world. For the rest of that third set, and for the entirety of the fourth, Alcaraz was effectively playing on one leg.
He was hopping to the ball. He wasn't chasing down drop shots. He was trying to shorten every single point because he knew he couldn't sustain a rally.
This is survival mode, pure survival tennis.
And Zverev, to his credit, or perhaps as we'll discuss to his frustration, he clawed his way back into it. He wins the third set in a tiebreak. He wins the fourth set in another tiebreak. And suddenly, after all that, we are level at 2 sets all.
And this is where we really have to talk about the narrative surrounding Zverev. Because the Reddit threads during this period were just exploding with debate about his mentality.
Because even though he won those 2 sets, he didn't exactly look dominant, did he? He wasn't blowing him off the court.
No, not at all. And this is the great Zverev paradox. He is playing a guy who is visibly seriously injured. The tactical playbook in that situation is page 1, chapter 1. Make him run.
Of course.
Drop shot him,
Yeah.
hit wide angles, lob him, make that adductor work until it completely fails.
Twist the knife. As one Reddit user, alert quote 9888, put it so brutally, the entire thread was just screaming, just make him move.
Exactly. But Zverev didn't do that. He played so passively. He just stood on the baseline and rallied down the middle of the court.
It was bizarre to watch.
It was as if he was afraid to be aggressive. He was waiting for Alcaraz to retire. He was waiting to be given the match rather than going out and taking it.
And it feeds directly into that choker narrative that has followed Zverev around for years, doesn't it? The idea that when the door is wide open for him, he hesitates to walk through it.
It does. He folded like himself was one of the most brutal, but I suppose most upvoted comments I saw. And you have to consider the whole fan dynamic here because Zverev is such a polarizing figure.
Yes, this is important context.
The sources, the threads, they all mention the off-court domestic abuse allegations, which, we have to be clear, were settled. But the aura of that, as they say, it remains for many fans.
So you get this really strange dynamic where a lot of people are watching him play a wounded opponent, and they're almost rooting for him to fail tactically because they don't like him personally.
It creates a very complex viewing experience. But then you also have the sympathy angle, because playing a 5.5-hour match as a type 1 diabetic, which Zverev is a physical and medical marvel in its own right.
Absolutely. Managing blood sugar levels under that kind of extreme stress is incredible.
So you have this really weird mix of villainy, sympathy, and just pure frustration watching him play.
Which brings us finally to the 5th set. The drama reaches its absolute peak. Zverev breaks early. He goes up a break. And he finds himself serving for the match at 5-4.
This is the moment. This is it. Alcaraz has been cramping and limping for 2 hours. Zverev is serving for a place in the Australian Open final. Statistically, 99 times out of 100, this match is over.
And then we get what the fans on Reddit are now calling the miracle game.
Yeah.
I want to break this down point by point because one user, Studius Maximus, did a brilliant analysis of the tennis IQ at play here, and I think we need to understand it.
Let's do it, because Alcaraz did something very, very specific here. He stopped playing like an injured man and started playing like a completely desperate one.
Right, so 5-4 is Zverev serving. What does Alcaraz do?
He realizes he cannot defend. He cannot scramble. His legs are gone. So he steps in. He stands almost on the baseline for the return of serve. He decides to turn every single return into either a winner or an error. There is no middle ground.
High risk, high reward.
Maximum risk. He knows he can't win a long point. So first point, he hits an absolutely huge forehand return. He flattens it out. Now, usually, Alcaraz hits with massive topspin, lots of clearance over the net.
The big looping ball.
Exactly. Here, he hit it flat and hard. He robs Zverev of time. He goes up 0-15. Next point, he does it again. Another massive forehand. 0-30.
The crowd is going wild at this point. They can sense something happening.
Oh, the stadium is electric.
Yeah.
Zverev steadies himself, though. He hits a big serve, gets it back to 15-30.
And then the point of the match.
Utter magic. That's what the fans called it. Alcaraz gets a look at a second serve. He pummels the return. Zverev defends. The ball comes back short, and Alcaraz, on his bad leg, comes forward and hits a drop volley.
A drop volley.
Mm-hmm.
A touch shot.
A touch shot. When your legs are gone, you have to trust your hands. It's an incredible piece of skill under that pressure. He gets to 15-40, and then he breaks. It's 5-5. Rod Laverina just erupts. The roof probably came off the place.
And you could physically see Zverev deflate, couldn't you? That was the moment.
That was the end of his mental resistance. When you are serving for the match against a guy who can barely walk and he hits 3 clean winners past you, it breaks your spirit.
It must plant so much doubt in your mind.
Oh, lethal doubt. And doubt is a killer in a fifth set.
Alcaraz then holds his own serve for 6-5. Zverev is now serving to stay in the match. And then, on match point.
The shot heard around the world. It was unbelievable. Zverev does the right thing. He comes to the net, trying to shorten the point. He covers the line. He thinks he has the entire court covered.
Alcaraz is scrambling out to his right.
To the bad side, the side with the injured adductor.
He has no right to even get to that ball.
None at all. But he gets there, he slides, and he flicks a passing shot cross court. It's not hit hard, but it's perfect. It just dips right at Zverev's feet, passes him, and lands in. Game, set, match.
The reaction was just visceral. Alcaraz didn't celebrate, did he?
Mm-hmm.
He just collapsed. He just fell to the floor in total disbelief.
But there was a tiny detail that the fans on Reddit spotted, a visual detail that I think captures the tragedy of sports so perfectly. Did you see the shot of Zverev's father in the player's box?
I did. It was heartbreaking.
As Alcaraz hits that winner, Zverev's dad, who is also his coach, is holding a white towel. And the moment the ball passes his son, he just drops it. He doesn't throw it in anger. He just opens his hand and lets it fall to the floor.
It's so poetic, isn't it? It's a surrender. The throwing in of the towel, but without the anger. Just resignation.
It's total despair. It's the silent, horrible realization of we had it and we let it slip. It's just devastating, really. Even the fans in the threads who really, really dislike Zverev admitted that seeing that level of devastation from a father and son is tough to watch.
I saw one comment that said, I really don't like Zverev because I hate bullies, but it's difficult not to feel some empathy when you see so much pain. It's a very human moment amidst all the gladiatorial combat.
It is. But let's pivot to the winner because we have to ask the big question, how? How does a 22-year-old cramping, injured, facing a massive server at 5-4 down in the fifth, pull that off? And this brings us to part 2 of our deep dive. The psychology of belief.
This is the Alcaraz superpower, isn't it? We talk about his forehand, his drop shots, his incredible speed, but I honestly think his brain is the scariest weapon he has.
Absolutely. We have the transcript from the on-court interview with TNT Sports immediately after the match. He was asked, plainly, how in the world did you win this tennis match?
And his answer wasn't about tactics. It wasn't about the adductor.
No, he just said, believing all the time.
Now, I know what you, the listener, might be thinking. That sounds like such a cliche. It sounds like something you'd read on an inspirational poster in a dentist's waiting room. Believe in yourself. But with Alcaraz, it seems visceral. It seems real.
It's functional. That's the crucial difference. He elaborated in the press conference, and this is the key insight into his mind. He said he hates the feeling of giving up more than he hates the pain of fighting.
That's a really profound distinction to make.
It really is. He said, I'd rather suffer than quit. He mentioned that when he was a junior, he used to give up in matches when things got tough, and he hated how he felt about himself afterwards. The shame of quitting was worse than the physical pain of running.
So for him, the suffering is worth it because the alternative, the feeling of giving up on himself, is just unacceptable to him.
Exactly. And you could see him doing this mental work in real time. The cameras kept catching him at the back of the court, between points, muttering to himself.
Little by little, Charlie. Vamos.
Little by little.
It's a masterclass in sports psychology, isn't it? When you're injured and you're down, if you look at the scoreboard and think, I need to win 3 more games, it feels like an impossible mountain to climb.
Impossible.
But if you say to yourself, just win this next point or just hit this one serve properly, it's manageable. He broke the mountain down into tiny individual pebbles.
It's incredible discipline. However, belief is powerful, but belief doesn't unlock a seized muscle. You know, you can believe you can fly, but if you jump off a building, gravity is still going to win. So how did his body physically hold up? This brings us to the most unexpected hero of the semifinals.
Oh, I know it's coming. We are going to talk about the mysterious yellow liquid.
We are indeed. It's time for part 3, the science of the comeback. Or, as I think we should call it, the great pickle juice debate.
This was fascinating. While the match was happening, there was this whole sub-discussion blowing up on Reddit. Fans with eagle eyes noticed Alcaraz downing these little jars of yellow liquid during the changeovers.
And immediately the assumption from everyone is, electrolytes. Must be salt. He's cramping, he's dehydrated, needs sodium. That's the standard sports science 101, right?
That's what I thought. You sweat out salt, the electrical signals in your muscles get all messy, and you cramp up, so you replace the salt. Simple.
Right. But there was a user on the thread, NoShoe5382, who took us all to school. They did a proper deep dive within our deep dive, verifying it with a Gemini search right there in the thread for everyone to see.
And the revelation is that it's not actually about hydration or electrolytes at all.
No. Not in the short term, anyway. Think about it. If you drink salt water, it has to go down into your stomach, be digested, enter the small intestine, and then get absorbed into the bloodstream before it can reach the muscle.
That takes time.
That takes a lot of time. We're talking 20 to 30 minutes minimum. Alcaraz didn't have 20 minutes. He had 90 seconds during a change of ends.
So what on earth does the pickle juice actually do?
It's the vinegar, the acetic acid in the pickle brine. Apparently, it triggers a specific set of receptors in the back of your throat. They're called TRP channels.
T2P channels. Okay,
Whoa.
Stay with us here, people. This is the science bit.
Transient receptor potential channels. They are the same receptors in your mouth and throat that detect the heat from hot chili peppers or the sharp sting of wasabi.
Ah.
So when that sharp acidic vinegar hits the oropharynx, the very back of the throat, it sends a high-priority, almost panicked signal straight to the brainstem. It's basically a neurological shock to the system.
A neural shock, not a muscular one.
Exactly. The brain gets this incredibly strong sensory input, and in response, it sends out a signal that inhibits the alpha motor neurons. Those are the ones that are firing uncontrollably in the cramping muscle. It acts like a neurological reset button.
That is absolutely wild. So he's not treating the muscle. He's treating the brain's faulty signal to the muscle.
Precisely. It hacks the nervous system. The studies show it can halt cramp within 60 to 90 seconds. It doesn't fix the underlying fatigue or muscle damage, but it stops the misfiring.
And that explains everything. That's how he could look like he couldn't walk at 4-4, drink the juice, and then physically recover enough to play that miracle game and win the 5th set. The pickle juice bought him the physical capacity to let his belief take over.
Science and psychology working hand in hand. It's brilliant.
So Alcaraz survives. He somehow, some way, gets through. He's in the final. The crowd is exhausted. The sun has gone down in Melbourne. And now, we have to do it all over again.
The night session. And in many ways, this was the main event. Novak Djokovic versus Jannik Sinner.
Let's set the stage for part 4 here, because the narrative going into this match was so different from the first one.
Oh, completely. You have Novak Djokovic. He's 38 years old. If he wins, he's the oldest man to ever reach an Australian Open final.
And he's facing Jannik Sinner, the reigning world #1. The defending champion, and crucially, a man who had beaten Djokovic 5 times in a row.
That stat is so heavy. 5 consecutive times. Djokovic hadn't beaten him since 2023. Sinner had his number. He had the psychological edge.
The feeling in the tennis world was that the torch had already been passed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sinner was the new king of Melbourne. The Djokovic era was finally over.
And for the first set, that looked exactly right. Sinner came out absolutely firing.
It was unplayable.
Completely. He won the first set 6-3. He hit 15 winners and only lost 5 points on a serve the entire set. He was hitting the ball so hard and so deep that Djokovic looked, well, he looked 38.
The BBC report noted that by the third set, Djokovic looked physically fatigued. Sinner wins that third set, so Djokovic is down 2-1.
And usually, against this Sinner, that is the end. You do not come back from 2-1 down against the world #1 when you are closing in on 40 years of age. The legs go, the reaction time goes.
But this is where Djokovic enters that strange, almost mythical zone that only he seems to inhabit. The nugget of brilliance, as we call it on the show. We have to talk about the fifth set.
It was incredibly tight. But the key moment, the entire hinge of the match, came on Djokovic's service game early in the set. He went down 0-40. 3 break points for Sinner.
And let's just pause on the significance of this. 0-40. If Sinner breaks here, he probably just holds his own serve to the finish line. The match is effectively over. The new king is crowned.
It's the precipice. And this is Jannik Sinner, remember, the best player in the world for the past year. He rarely, if ever, misses these chances. But Novak, he just switches into what I call lockdown mode.
He saves the first break point, then the second, then the third. How? Was it just big serving?
It wasn't just aces, that's the thing. It was relentless depth. He just stopped missing. He put the ball rally after rally within inches of the baseline, forcing Sinner to generate all the pace from awkward positions. He saves the game. He holds.
This is the classic Djokovic rope-a-dope, isn't it? He lets you think you have him, he looks tired, he lets you punch him, and then the moment you miss your knockout shot, he rips your heart out.
Immediately. In the very next game, after saving those break points, he breaks Sinner. The momentum shift was just violent. Sinner went from, I'm about to win the match, to, oh no, I'm losing, in the span of about 10 minutes.
He saved 8 break points in that fifth set alone. 8. That is a level of mental fortitude that is almost frightening.
It's aura, isn't it? Sinner knows he's playing Djokovic. He knows he has to be perfect. And that immense pressure makes you miss by an inch here, an inch there. And when Sinner finally hit a forehand wide on match point, Djokovic didn't jump for joy. He didn't scream. He didn't tear his shirt off. He just sank to his knees.
Relief.
Yeah.
Just pure, unadulterated relief. It was 4 hours and 9 minutes. It finished at 1:30 in the morning, local time.
Just incredible scenes. But what happened next in the encore interview, I think, is just as important for the context of the Sunday final. Because Djokovic really won the crowd back on side.
He has had a bit of a rocky relationship with the Melbourne crowd over the years, hasn't he?
He has, to put it mildly. They've cheered against him plenty of times. They love an underdog, and he's never the underdog. But last night, they were chanting his name. No, no, no. And he was so charming.
The joke about the phone number, I actually laughed out loud at 2 in the morning.
Oh, it was brilliant. He grabbed the microphone from Jim Courier and said, he won the last 5 matches. He had my mobile number, so I had to change my number for tonight.
It's such a dad joke, isn't it? But coming from him in that moment after a 4-hour war, it was perfect. It just killed.
It shows such self-awareness. He knew the narrative. He knew everyone was saying, Sinner owns him now. And he just leaned into it and made a joke of it. He also made a point of mentioning the experts.
Ah, yes, this is classic Novak. He feeds on doubt like it's a protein shake.
He said, I see there's a lot of experts all of a sudden that wanted to retire me. And then he looked into the camera and he thanked them. He genuinely thanked them for the motivation.
If you are a tennis pundit, the #1 rule is never, ever tell Novak Djokovic he should retire. You are just giving him fuel for another 2 years.
Precisely. And he put the match in historical context, too. He compared the intensity of this match to the 2012 final he played against Rafa Nadal.
The nearly 6-hour one. The one where they literally had to bring out chairs during the trophy ceremony because neither of them could stand up anymore.
The very same. For him to say this 4-hour match felt like that, it just tells you how incredibly high the level was. He called it his finest performance of the last couple of years.
So we have our 2 winners, but we also need to look at the wider implications of all this. Part 5, the fan reaction. What is the internet saying?
Well, the Reddit threads were just lighting up with one particular phrase, Thanovich is back.
Thanos. Inevitable. The big bad.
Exactly. There was a real sense of shock, I think. A lot of fans had quietly accepted that the Sinner and Alcaraz era had fully taken over. To see the old guard stand up and just say, not yet, it just blew people's minds.
There was also a very funny bit about the ticket sales, wasn't there?
Yes. Djokovic joked in his interview that he wants 10% of the ticket sales from the tournament because the fans who bought a ticket for that day got 2 incredible matches for the price of 1.
He's not wrong, is he? If you had a ticket for Rod Laver Arena yesterday, you saw nearly 10 hours of historic, legendary tennis. That is serious value for money.
It really is. But we also have to talk about Sinner. Because despite the loss, the stats were really confusing. He hit a career-high 26 aces.
26 aces,
Yeah, it is.
and he lost. That's almost impossible.
That's the scary thing about playing Djokovic. Sinner didn't play badly. He played great tennis. He just ran into a brick wall that refused to crumble. The fans online were noting a specific curse.
Ah, yes, the 3-hour, 48-minute curse. What's that all about?
Apparently so. There's a fan theory doing the rounds on Reddit that Sinner's win percentage drops off a cliff in matches that go super long. Past the 4-hour mark, he struggles. But honestly, I think that's just finding patterns in the noise. The reality is, he played Novak Djokovic in a 5th set in Melbourne. That's the hardest task in all of sport.
I think you're right. The general consensus online seems to be Sinner's still great, the big three aura isn't quite dead yet, and we are all incredibly lucky to be watching this sport right now.
Absolutely. And just to briefly touch on Zverev, the aftermath there is pretty bleak. He described feeling hollow in his press conference, and the fans are comparing it to his U.S. Open final loss to Dominic Thiem years ago, another match where he was 2 sets up and lost.
It just reinforces that narrative that he can't quite close out the biggest matches when he has the chance.
It does. It's going to be a very, very long flight home for him and his team. And meanwhile, Alcaraz, get this, he admitted he stayed up and watched the first 2 sets of the Djokovic match before trying to get some sleep.
Which is just insane. Go to bed, Carlos. You played for 5.5 hours. Your body is in pieces.
He's a tennis junkie. He can't help himself. He was already scouting his next opponent.
Unbelievable. All right, that brings us to the big one, part 6. The final preview. The Sunday showdown.
It's the matchup, the tournament organizers, the TV networks, the fans. It's the one everyone prayed for. Djokovic versus Alcaraz.
The narrative arcs here are just perfect.
Yeah.
You have the oldest finalist in Djokovic versus the kid, Alcaraz, trying to be the youngest career Grand Slam winner.
You have the King of Melbourne Park versus the Prince of Wimbledon. It's the ultimate clash of styles, of personalities, and of generations.
But the big question mark hanging over this whole final is physicality. We have to be realistic about it.
It's a huge question mark. On one hand, you've got Djokovic. He's 38. He just played for over 4 hours. But he recovers like a machine. He has been doing this for 20 years. His body is uniquely adapted to this kind of stress.
Then you have Alcaraz. He's 22. Biologically, he should heal much faster. But
Yeah.
he played for 5.5 hours, and he had serious cramps.
It's not just the energy expenditure, it's the muscle damage. When you cramp that badly, you get micro tears in the muscle fibers. Can you flush all that out in just 48 hours? Can you rehydrate enough? The pickle juice works for the cramp in the moment, but the underlying damage remains.
Djokovic had a very interesting quote about this in his press conference. He said, "I just hope I'll have enough gas to stay toe-to-toe with him. Let God decide the winner."
Which is unusually fatalistic for Novak, isn't it? Usually he says, I will find a way. Here he's almost acknowledging that the tank might genuinely be empty. He's human, after all.
The speculation on Reddit is fascinating. Some are saying that if Sinner had won last night, he would have crushed a tired Alcaraz, just blown him away with relentless pace. But Djokovic versus Alcaraz, that's a mental battle as much as it is a physical one.
It is. Alcaraz beat Djokovic in that epic Wimbledon final, which broke the aura for a bit. But then Djokovic came back and beat Alcaraz in Cincinnati and the ATP finals. They know each other's games inside out. There are no secrets.
So prediction time. Not necessarily who wins, but what do you think determines the outcome of this final?
For me, it all comes down to Alcaraz's movement in the first 5 games. If he can move freely, if that adductor holds up, he has the drop shots and the variety to really hurt Novak. He can make Novak run. But if Alcaraz hesitates even slightly, if he can't push off properly on his serve, Novak will eat him alive. He'll just put the ball in the corners and wait for Alcaraz to break down.
And what about the mental side? Do you think Alcaraz's belief mantra holds up against the sheer Thanovic inevitability of Djokovic in Melbourne?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. I think it goes to 4 or 5 sets again. I don't think either of these two knows how to play a quick match against each other.
It's going to be absolutely unmissable. So, to wrap this incredible deep dive up, we've had a day of miracles, we've had a day of resilience.
We've learned that vinegar is a performance-enhancing substance, well, Sort of.
We've learned that 38 might just be the new 28.
And we have definitely learned that you never, ever change the channel until the very last ball is hit.
I want to leave you, our listener, with one final thought. Something to mull over before you settle in to watch the final on Sunday. Novak said something in his press conference that really stuck with me. I said it would be very difficult, but not impossible.
A simple truth, but a powerful one.
We spend so much time in tennis, and in sport in general, obsessing over the next gen. We want the new stars. We want the changing of the guard. We're always desperate for that fresh new narrative.
We are. We crave the new.
But today, on this ridiculous Saturday in Melbourne, we watched the old guard refuse to leave the building. And we watched the new guard nearly break his own body just to stay in the game with him.
It's not a transition. It's a war of attrition.
Exactly. So the question is, are we actually witnessing the changing of the guard? Or are we just witnessing a guard that simply refuses to change?
I think on Sunday we finally find out.
I think we do. Enjoy the final, everyone. Drink your pickle juice.
And please, try and get some sleep.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.